Okay, hi. This is going to be a response to Jeff's newest video, and I don't have the video up right now, so I can't actually give you the title. Obviously, in the description, I'll have the title of the video, but this has to do with a response he did to, what was it, that one janitor or something? Some bloke on the internet who's talking about how essentially the skeptic movement has turned bad or turned sour and is now anti-SJW. And Jeff described it as being like the greatest strawman in history or something. I don't know. Some strawman-y business. I definitely agree that he wasn't very particular, but then he was saying that it was very hypocritical how he was saying, these people aren't being very particular about what they mean, and he was also not being very particular about what he meant. So I am another one of the... I don't like the term anti-SJW because I feel like every kind of label you put on yourself has certain baggage, and I choose not to associate myself with baggage. I just like to think that I have my own ideas, and I want them to speak for themselves. But I kind of want to talk about a couple things, kind of how I came into the kind of skeptic, SJW, and then, I wasn't an SJW, but how I was kind of immersed into that, and then kind of how I reacted and why I now have the, I guess, not beliefs, but the kind of views that I have now on these things. So, I was raised a Catholic, and I was always very skeptical about that, kind of deep down. But definitely you are meant to not question, and you're just meant, and you're not only meant not to question, but you're taught that if you do question, that is a bad thing. So I was really afraid to even ask questions about that kind of religion stuff, even to begin with. So that was obviously yuck. And I, through the influence of going to a Catholic school, I ended up being quite homophobic, transphobic, oh, the horrible phobics, right? Because when you raise a child, and then despite the fact that my parents weren't that way, if you raise a child in that kind of environment, or put your child in an environment like a school where they are exposed to that for extended periods of time, well, obviously you're going to have issues. So, but then I went there until grade 8, and that, for people who aren't familiar with American school systems, grade 8, you're about, 13, 14. So then when I went to high school, starting at, I think I was 15 when I was a bit of a late bloomer. I guess my parents started me a year later than most kids got started. But anyway, when I entered high school, and I was no longer required to go weekly with the school to church stuff and other church crap, and I was no longer kind of bombarded with it, I definitely started to question. And this is definitely where, like, skepticism started for me. And then, let's fast forward a few years until about 2015, or 2014 actually. And for some reason, I got super obsessed with the atheism movement on Facebook or YouTube, and I watched channels like Cult of Dusty, Armored Skeptic, Dark Matter 2525. Oh, there's heaps of others, but just a few that on top of my head I can think of. So I watched a bunch of those channels, and I was kind of obsessed with, like, Richard Dawkins and his, God delusion and everything else. Because I never really heard a lot of these arguments for atheism. I knew that I rejected the beliefs that I was raised with. I knew that at this point I was very scientifically minded in that if there isn't evidence, I'm not going to believe, that kind of thing. But I was never very, not vocal, but I was never very aware of the wider scope of things. So, then when I kind of heard some of the statistics about how, what is it, like, bloody bishops or something and have like a seat on the House of Lords, or I don't know what it is in British Parliament, or that you can actually be actively discriminated against for being atheists in America, in terms of not being able to run or be elected for office if you publicly say that you're an atheist. So that kind of happened around, like I said, 2014 to 2015. And then I turned into a tranny in 2015. Obviously, I got the tranny germs, and I had to, sign up with Tranny International and schedule a date to have my dick chopped off, all that stuff. And it was kind of through. I had never liked LGBT centers. I'd always thought it was fucking dumb. Because all the interaction I've ever had, like, there's a stupid fucking day in high school where they would, like, put tape on their mouths, or, like, day of silence for fucking LGBT people, and it was like to raise awareness of all the people that are silent in your life if LGBT people didn't exist. And I think these kind of grandiose movements or whatever are just stupid. And I never went to, what was it, in high school, it was the GayStraight Alliance, and I always thought it was a bit stupid. Your sexuality is your own business. I eventually grew out of all the homophobic, transphobic crap. And my motto or whatever was, if you're not fucking me, it's none of my business, kind of thing. I think Dusty says that a lot. That's probably where I got that wording. But anyway, basically, if it's not affecting me, I don't care. If you want to hook up with me, then it is my business, or whatever. Honestly, that's just silly. Point is, never liked LGBT centers. Thought they're fucking dumb. And it wasn't until 2015 when I caught the trans germs, and I realized that after I signed up for my, dick chopping off, I was required to go to a LGBT center to validate my gender identity. And so luckily I was able to just go to the one at my local fucking hell, at my university, in my town. I live in a university town, so got my university in my town. I bike to school and everything. But point is, I went there, and initially I was like, okay. Like, I knew the kids, they're fucking undergrads and annoying as hell. That's my opinion of them now, obviously. But, yeah. So, like, these fucking children, like, at first I thought, yeah, they're okay, whatever, they're, like, kind of stupid, but, like, everyone is at 18 or however that, old they are. And I thought, fuck, like, I felt like I was walking on eggshells, because I didn't think, like, any of this SJW shit, like, really existed, really outside of the internet. Like, I had one friend who we haven't had a lot of contact lately, because she would start talking to me about cultural appropriation and representation of trans people on the fucking news and TV shows and blah blah blah. I don't fucking care. But you're trans, so don't you want representation? And kind of, I had some other people, like I have a friend who's asexual, and that's honestly fucking fine, and I don't care. And then I had one friend who I don't get on very well with now. He come out as a gender fluid, and at first I thought, oh, this is a legitimate thing. People don't just make up shit, right? And I thought, oh, some days you have dysphoria and some days you don't. I didn't really understand it. And then I realized, oh, this is just an attention-seeking thing, like, isn't it? It's just about... This person ended up just being somebody who needed all eyes on her at all times. It was fucking stupid, and just... Won't get into the personal details, because honestly it's none of anyone's business. But just, I kind of started to see... kind of like the Matrix, when you see past. There's something behind all the wonderful rainbows and colors, right? There's something behind that. So then I started like looking into different other channels that I had previously, like I ran into Milo Stewart's channel and I thought, oh, she's kind of a weirdo, but like I hadn't at that point seen the video on all people are transphobic, that one, and how to treat trans people, and all the fucking stupid ones she's made. Like I'd found those while researching or looking up people's HRT stories and everything else. But then I started finding kind of response videos to that, and at first I thought, oh, these people are just being dicks and blah blah blah. And then I realized how little respect these SJWs actually had for the subject material or whatever that they were talking about. Like, they really have no respect for this stuff. And I just came to... I started looking at things more objectively with the same kind of skepticism that I had towards religion, and it's like, okay, when I look at the biology, human biology, can I say that there's more than two genders? Not really. Can I say that gender is a biological construct, a purely biological or purely social construct? Not really. And because I study anthropology, a big part of anthropology, at least in the U.S., is a subdiscipline entity. You're supposed to look at all aspects, the biological aspects, with the social aspects, with whatever aspects. So then I just started to realize that a lot of the crap the SJWs are spewing, a lot of this crap to do with privilege, and there's the false information that they put out, like about the wage gap, for a good example. It's bullshit. It's just crap. And then it started to affect me more personally, because I'd have people essentially try being, trans or whatever, like people, one, taking offense on my behalf. It's like, fuck off, I can take offense for myself. And two, like, I don't know, just like, we are allies. It's like, fuck off. I don't need your help. Like, I don't feel oppressed. I just want to get on with my fucking life and leave me the hell alone. So that's kind of how I came. Kind of crazy life story. But kind of to answer your point about whether whether there's a community around this stuff, I mean, an anthropologist would have a field day with this. And an anthropologist would tend to look at this as a community because there are shared values and blah 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 blah. You don't want to get into that. But I do see what you're saying, like you don't want to be held to this kind of, you don't want to be held to certain, I guess, doctrine for lack of a better word. But I think that because humans are social beings, I mean, we are social by nature, and we are going to tend to lump together in certain groups, And I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think the key then, if you just accept that, okay, human beings are going to act in a social way and create these groups for themselves, the key then is to have it be self-regulating. Like the difference between science and religion. Religion is dogmatic, just like social justice is dogmatic. Let's be like science, which is self-regulating, right? If somebody says something, like you mentioned in your video, someone says something fucking dumb, you call them out on it. So I think, community is a word that's kind of like, I get it, like why you wouldn't want to associate like a community with it. I think it might be somewhat inevitable, just given our very natures, and also depending on who you ask. Like I said, the anthropologists would have a field day. They would just get overly excited, especially because studying online communities is something that's becoming newer within cultural anthropology. But I do understand where you're coming from. I hope you take the chance to watch this video. If you have any questions for me, please leave them in the comment box below. Subscribe to my channel. I'm bitch about random shit. I'm going to be doing another video soon about hormones, because there's some shit going on with that I want to talk about. Basically, I'm not a crying mess right now, and so like in my lucid period I could do a video. But I hope you are all doing very well, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.